Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankin. This is a very special one because it's my birthday. Technically in New Zealand it's the day after, but in the States it's my birthday, so yay. But so I decided to just throw the poll away and just pick a topic that I've wanted to do for ages, and that is top 12 Glee episodes. But I've got a great panel here for special guest. We've got Videodrew.
Hi,
Drew,
guys.
how's it going?
I like that I went live right after opening the window, so now I look like Ben Bateman. Like I'm just not. Hold on 1 second. Better, more. Still half Ben Bateman, half human. It's perfect.
I think that's still full Ben Bateman is half human.
Yeah, right.
Anyone think I timed it like that? But also here I've got Doug. Doug, how's it going?
We'll do the smile on camera answer. It's going great. Life is a big wrecking ball, and that's what we're gonna call it right now.
Like the Miley Cyrus song.
Exactly.
And also here we've got Christina. Christina, how's it going?
It's going really well. I'm really, really excited to be here. Glee is one of my favorite shows I've ever watched, so I'm really excited to be a part of this.
And last but not least, is someone that's been hoping I'd do this for ages. Cameron, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm the resident Glee champion. I've debated Glee things in TV fights. I love Glee. It's my second favorite TV show of all time. So I'm ready to talk about this. As long as no one brings up any episodes from the second half of season 5, we'll all be fine.
I honestly don't think I watched them graduate high school.
That's
but everything until then is great. And then
but yeah, how the show works is we go in a roundtable kind of discussion. Each person will throw out a episode that they think belongs on a top 12 list, and then the rest of the panel will say yes or no that if it belongs. And at the end, we rank them. Brian, there actually has been a Full Metal Random Glee episode, and Cameron did win it.
Yes, I did.
I wrote the questions for that match.
I was about to say, what is TV fights? Count me in on that. Whatever the hell that is.
That's a TV debate in which I got put up against Malcolm, and we had to debate who the best Glee character is. And
oh my God, which one was it? What'd you guys?
I won with Coach Beast.
Oh, Coach Beast is a great character. Great character. I might say it's Chenoweth for me. I forget the name of her character. I really liked her.
Her name is April Rhodes.
April Rhodes. Oh, that's right, because Rhodes Less Taken or whatever.
Yeah.
Rhodes, whatever it was. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to start with Drew. Drew, what is the first episode you're going to bring up?
Okay, so just to give you guys a little bit background, I started watching Glee. This was. What year did this come out? So for
2009.
2009. A little bit of background. I have no background. I would just graduated from college, and I was not a huge Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk fan. I don't think I'd seen Nip Tuck, and this seemed, as a former bully, this show seemed kind of like something that I wanted to punch. But also, I love musicals, so like many of the characters in Glee, this show has I held a lot of different varying things at the same time here. The first one I picked was the first one that really dug it in for me, which was Dream On, which I believe was first season. That was the one that Joss Whedon directed, with Neil Patrick Harris showing up as a former kid who is, I believe, is he temporary principal or something like that? He's temporarily put in charge of everything. And
board member, right?
Right.
He's on the school board consulting the budget or something.
Yeah.
And he's auditioning for Les Mis along with Shu. I'm hoping I get Matthew Morrison's name on this. Mr. Shu. Yeah, that sounds right. So they're auditioning for Jean Valjean together, which is just the weirdest also character for the two of them to be playing. The two of them are Marius age, but they're going to be playing Jean Valjean. Fine, whatever. It had some great songs in it. It had Dream On, I believe, was the end riff off between Shu and Neil Patrick Harris's character. It had a great was it the safety dance when Arnie was imagining himself walking. Please tell me this is the correct one. And dancing in the
Yeah.
and it just really had. I'm like, hopefully, that to me was like my favorite one, just because I think I was really into Joss Whedon at the time, and I loved Les Mis. So it's kind of weird they only used that "Dream to Dream" from the actual show, but that was definitely my intro into Glee.
Yeah. Doug, what do you say about Dream On?
Yeah, it has Neil Patrick Harris. You put him on an episode of Glee. Listen, he's a part of one of my favorite shows of all time. I don't care how people say it, but How I Met Your Mother, his portrayal of Barney is legendary. No pun intended. But put him on anything, and I love him. He's just comedic gold, and he's probably one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. And the episode itself is really good. I like them when they do the whole riff off on Dream On. It's a great episode, yeah.
I love Dream On, and I think this is one that really speaks to my heart because with being a big theatre kid myself and just being someone in that thing, I've had a lot of people like Neil Patrick Harris or Sue saying, you'll never do anything in the arts, you can never make something, and it's been one of those things. So this one really speaks home to me, and it's just been one of those ones that that inspired me. It's like, well, you can, depending on circumstances, and if you may have all the right stuff behind you, you can make this a career if it's really what you want to do. So I'm going to say yes. Christina, what would you have said about Dream On?
I didn't have it on my list. I wasn't a big fan of the first part of season 1. I feel like when they came back from their hiatus is when season 1 really started to take form. But this particular episode I thought was really good in the sense of you had like that guest star in there that was talented, that gave you guys this really good song. And then overall, I agree with you guys with the message of the show. That particular episode was really good because I work in a school, so I see it happen all the time where the arts are the first thing to go. You know, we're not really getting these kids to foster their dreams. It's all about testing, and it's all about can you do math and science. And I think to really focus on the fact of,
that's right,
you can still do all, and I teach math, so I'm always like, yeah, go math. But like all of this other stuff is important too. And I think the fact that this episode really focused on that was important. Overall, as a top 12, I'm going to say no, it wasn't one of my favorites. So I would say no in a top 12, but I still like the episode.
I forgot that it was like kind of anti-STEM, and that also it's like the message of it was you can like blackmail or you can like bribe somebody into giving you an art program.
Right. As long as you have a cool leather jacket or jean jacket.
If you want to go Jean Valjean like on stage, you can definitely have your arts program funded.
And Cameron, what would you have said about Dream On?
I love Neil Patrick Harris, and the performance of Dream On is up there for being one of my favorite like songs that they've done on Glee because it's fantastic. I don't love the overall story of the episode though, so I probably would have said no, but I'm fine with it being on the list. There's a lot of good episodes of this show.
Right.
6 seasons, guys. 6 seasons.
121 episodes.
Right.
Glee
Ryan
does
Murphy
have
amphetamines, isn't he? Like we can just agree on that. Like Ryan Murphy after this just started. I think this launched, and then like a year later was American Horror Story, and then like he's like coronavirus. Like, and then there's like 2 Ryan Murphy shows.
Yikes.
There's an exponential amount of Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk programs.
Glee did what Community hasn't done yet. It's got 6 seasons and it's got a movie. It's got a concert movie.
You think it does have a movie in it? Jesus.
I saw the concert.
I'm now remembering the concert because Gwyneth Paltrow like agreed to do it, right? Because this was her validation.
But Cameron, what is your first show you're going to bring up?
Yeah, I feel like I have to pick this one first. I know Doug knows exactly what I'm talking about because we talked about this and agreed that this should be number 1. So Glee season 5. Glee season 5 is bad. Glee season 5 is very bad. Some people here said that they basically stopped watching the show for a while because of season 5. That's valid. But season 5 also has, in my opinion, the best singular episode of Glee, which is The Quarterback. The Quarterback, of course, being the episode they did in memory of Corey Monteith, who unfortunately died of a drug overdose the year before they were able to start filming. and it's just a beautiful tribute to him. The acting performances in it are incredible. All the music is great. And like just knowing behind the scenes, pretty much every scene in that episode was done on the first take because of how like emotionally invested in the show that they were. It's incredible. And yeah, the quarterback.
Christina, what do you say about the quarterback?
100%. I had 2 episodes from season 5 on my list, and that was number 1 because it's phenomenally done. It's heartbreaking to watch. I still cry when I watch it, and I know I could probably recite some of the lines to you when you see his mom break down cleaning up his room. Like nobody tells you that you might not be a parent anymore. Leah Michelle's performance, I don't even know how she did that. I really don't know how she did it. All of them. It's heartbreaking to watch. It was a beautifully done tribute. My only issue with the whole show, with that whole tribute, is they didn't bring back Quinn for that.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm sorry.
I believe I read in the tabloids that Leah Michelle had a personal issue with Diana Agron, which is why she wasn't invited back. But I would 100% put that in a top 12. That's a great episode.
I think there's a lot of stories about why Quinn didn't come back because I think Ryan Murphy said out that it's like anyone who sort of asked to come back for this episode, he said yes, he figured out a way to get them in there. So she may have been busy doing something else. I don't know. There's a lot of stories out there for why she didn't come in. There's the whole beef and all that. But the quarterback is 100% yes. I mean, for everything that Cam and Christina said, like this is a really heartbreaking. Like you could tell in Rachel's performance to Make You Feel My Love, like how much she loved Corey Monteith. Like just from that song, because the emotion in that song is great, and it's probably up there. If we ever did like songs and stuff, it's probably would be up there for that as well. But Doug, what would you have said about the quarterback?
As it was alluded to, me and Kim were on call, and we were talking about how excited we were. We were like, we know what the episode 1 is, what number 1 should be, and it's 100%. A lot of this episode is the quiet moments for me, between Santana and Kurt, between Will and Rachel later, and then the final moments of this episode kill me. Will holding on to the jacket and just weeping. It's one of the most brutal scenes I've ever seen. It's you can tell the loss that they felt by not just the character but the actor, and how he's a part of the series all the way to the end. It's 100%.
Drew, what would you have said about the quarterback?
Can't believe you're making me be the devil's advocate here. No one's making me, but I'm going to be. I thought this episode was, when I first heard about it, I was like, this is kind of like weird, like not in poor taste quite, because these people have the right to honor and memorialize their friend and their lover and their coworker, however they want. But the way it was like, I don't know, there was something about it that kind of like was like big top circusy, like the way it was promoted, the way it was like, this is our tribute. But like hearing that it took place, that it was all in one take, I mean, means a lot. I remember watching it at work and like crying. I mean, because clearly it was a tragic thing that happened. But the way they immediately kind of put it in the gristle mill to make it art just seemed like I don't remember exactly how many months it was between his death and this filming, but it felt like it was a real short period of time.
I think it was pretty short.
Yeah, he died in July, and it was the 3rd episode of the season.
So it's like they just like called them all into the studio and was like, "Hey, just like time to do this." Like, I mean, it obviously was what they wanted, and it's what I'm imagining that he would have wanted. But it just, to me, it was like one of these weird televised events that you're like, "Are we supposed to be doing this?" That's just my hot take. I still probably would put in the top 12 just because it's probably the most iconic. It's one of the most iconic. And like I said, it's like not like anything else that's been done on television before in terms of dealing with somebody's like in real life death. So for that reason, but I'm not going to like say that I love this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get all your criticisms. It's kind of how I felt when I heard they were going to do this episode. It's like, how are they going to do it? But yeah, I mean, for me, like one of my favorite sequences of this is Sue sort of admitting, like, I liked him. Like,
Yeah.
I may have given him shit all this time, but it's like he was a good kid. He didn't deserve to go this way. But yeah. But
They
Christina.
They say how he dies in the show, or they
They
leave
do
that?
not. They
No,
don't
they don't
address
refer
it,
to
and
it.
I think that's actually a really great choice
Yeah.
on their part.
I
Yeah.
mean, right? Because what were they supposed
It's
to
not
do?
about how he died; it's about how he lived, and I think that's what's beautiful about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't. That kind of goes to my point, though. You can't really retcon someone's death. Like, he died of a drug overdose in a hotel room. That character wouldn't have. But to create a death, like to create another death, would be sort of like retconning reality of the situation. So, yes, they pulled that. They walked that line perfectly. But had they gone any other direction, it would have been a huge fail.
Yeah. Christina, what is the first episode you're going to bring up?
Okay, well, I'm going to lighten the mood a little. This is one of my all-time favorites. I could probably watch this episode over and over and over and over and over again. It's from season 3. It's episode 21. It is right before the very last one. It's their nationals. I love this episode. They kill it. Leah Michelle sings, or Rachel Berry sings a beautiful It's All Coming Back to Me Now. They do a great Meatloaf song. Carmen Thibodeau comes so Rachel can get her redemption. She even gets a little redemption with Jesse. Her and Finn are still in a really good place. And they win nationals, and we finally get to see them win it. And it's awesome. It's a great way to just send them off, because we know that in the next episode they're about to graduate. So that's one of my favorite episodes.
Also, it was an Eric Stoltz directed episode. I didn't know before I started looking into this how many episodes of Glee were directed by Eric Stoltz. That's just bonkers to me.
Doug, what do you say about nationals?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's got a guest appearance by Lindsay Lohan.
Damn it, Doug, you stole my joke.
No, I think this is a great episode. It's a great, it has the suspense in it, because you're wondering if they're going to win. After season 1, they didn't get the win, and it's like, are they going to get the win this time? And they get the win. So it has the suspense, but it's very, for me, it is on the lighter side of the episodes, but I think it does have a lot of weight to the series, and I do enjoy this episode a lot. Yeah, I'll give it a yes.
Drew, what do you say about nationals?
I mean, nationals was on my list. It's a great one. Did I freeze up?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong window. Nationals, obviously, I love Jesse St. James as a character. Like, I love Jonathan Groff, the whole, again, like the reality of what was, Leah Michelle knowing Jonathan Groff from Spring Awakening and them starting out together essentially, and then him coming out, and like, there's a lot of like weird, almost like reality cosplay that this show had. And his arc was great, and Nationals is a great episode. It's the redemption episode that we wanted to see. If the first season was about like try and sometimes you won't win, but you'll come together, like this was just a full stop win.
Cameron, what do you say about nationals?
Oh yeah, no, this episode's fantastic. The music is great. Doug stole my joke about it having Lindsay Lohan, but what other Glee episode features Perez Hilton, everyone's favorite gossip columnist? No, this episode's fantastic. It's All Coming Back to Me Now and Paradise by the Dashboard Light are two of my favorite Glee covers out of the over 700 that they've done.
Jesus Christ. Sorry.
Yeah, it's insane. They hit 500 in season 4. Like, they went crazy. But it's great. It's a quintessential feel-good episode of the show where the characters like finally get what they've been working for 3 years at this point. Is great.
Yeah, this would have been easy yes for me as well. This is just one of those episodes which it finally builds up, because with knowing that a lot of the main cast was going to graduate, and like next year we'll get a lot of new cast members, but this is just one of those ones in which you're left wondering, like, are they actually going to win or are they not? And to find them going out and winning with the original New Direction, so to speak, it was just great to see. But Doug, we go back to you for your next episode.
Before we ruined the show.
I'm going to ruin the show. Really?
No, I'm saying it's one of the last episodes before they ruined the show.
Oh. No. I'm going with grilled cheeses. This is one of my favorite episodes of all time because of how it deals with religion. It doesn't deal with it as, no, these are the past. These are what people think. These are the different beliefs that people have. You have Bert, who has a heart attack, and it has 3 of my favorite covers ever done by the show. REM's Losing My Religion, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and One of Us. Those 3 songs are beautifully done through the entire episode. Seeing Kurt sing "I Want to Hold Your Hand" to his father, it's a beautiful episode, and I just really like this episode a lot.
But yeah, we've got grilled cheeses. Christina, what do you say about grilled cheeses?
It was not on my list, but now that you bring all that back, that is a very. I'm not a real big season 1 person. I have a lot of season 2 and season 3 on my list. It's a very, very, very beautiful episode, and I think even Rachel and Finn have a moment by the lake, and she sings "Papa, Can You Hear Me?" But the "I Want to Hold Your Hand" with Kurt is enough reason to say yes. That's all you need.
This is actually what kicks off in this season 2.
Is this 2? Because she is back, right?
Yeah, it's episode 3.
Okay.
Wow, you guys are some real Gleeks.
They're not goofy enough.
This is hard because this episode's in my 15 to 20 range on my list that I made. It's a really good episode, but also at the beginning with Finn, where he is misusing his magic sandwich that he mistakes for religion so that he can touch Rachel's boobs, is really, really weird and really uncomfortable, and not in the charming way that Mr. Shu is. He's a creepy man. Wear something other than a sweater vest, Will. By the smallest of margins, I'm going to say no, just because I have other episodes that I like more.
Drew, what do you say about grilled cheeses?
Oh, this one's hard. I mean, I remember when I was going down the list of episodes, I was like, oh yeah, this one. And I remember thinking that particularly the moment didn't land for me that "I Want to Hold Your Hand," just because I felt like that song I get that they reappropriate song, but singing that song to one's father is very it's a weird connotation. However, they did pull it off well. And I think your point, Doug, about it being a pretty accepting show, or showing you that it's not, people that believe in religion aren't bad. This show isn't liberal in the way that it hates conservative people. It's liberal in the way that it's accepting of everybody's viewpoints and tolerant. It's it really does promote tolerance of not just the weirdos and the freaks, but also the people that we consider the bullies and the majority. And maybe for that reason, I would put it to the list, not because I particularly love the episode, but because the message is different than. I think the message fits with the main message of the show, but it's told differently than we usually see told. So yeah, let's put it on there.
Yep. So grilled cheeses is on the list. This would have been tough for me too, because when I kind of heard they were going to be tackling sort of religion and all that, was me being Christian was there's only 2 ways you can go. With TV shows tend to either do religious episodes really well, or or it goes to the other extreme of. This is one that I actually liked, and I probably would have leaned towards yes too, because this is just a fun episode, and they don't sort of go, "Oh, religion is bad." It's like if you're religious, that's great. Like, and just accept, like, more of a way to accept sort of the religion. Don't try to go change yourself just because sort of people go like, "Oh, I don't like religion" or stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, it's now my turn to bring up an episode. One of the things I did like about Glee is when they would tackle a lot of really heavy subjects. And this, I can't remember when this episode came place, but I think there might have been a school shooting or something happened around this time. But they did. But it's the episode called Shooting Star. This was an episode which I really did enjoy, and it's just a fun episode. But then when they had the whole school shooting angle, just the fact that it all suddenly went silent, it actually felt like you're inside that choir room. Just inside there was no other sound you could hear other than people running down the hallways, or it was just silent for probably about 5 to 10 minutes at least. And just hearing the lone phone ringing and just list all the sounds, everyone just trying to be as quiet as they can. It just really brought it. I mean, it turned out that it was Becky because she didn't want to graduate, but spoilers if you haven't seen Glee. But yeah, Doug, what do you say about Shooting Star?
I'm trying to remember this episode as best as I can. I just haven't seen this episode in a while. So with that, I can't give it a yes because I haven't seen it in a while.
That's fair. Christina, what do you say about Shooting Star?
That part in the choir room where they're all quiet is a very beautiful part of the episode, and you really get that raw emotion. Unfortunately, I have lived this through the drills that we take, and I've seen that. The issue I have a lot with this episode, though, is the poor taste of how they handled the shooting, where it was Sue said it was her later, and then they kind of like blew it off, and then it was really Becky, which I just thought it was just in poor taste of how tragic these things really are, especially in this country. So I would say no, only because I just don't like how they handled it overall. But that part that you were talking about, I think was really well done. And I think their emotions really were raw and it really came out well. But I just think overall, I don't like how they handled the episode and the issue at hand.
Yep, no, that's totally fair. Cameron, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree with you. That 10 minutes where it is in the choir room during that is some of the best stuff. Like, it's one of the best scenes that has happened in Glee. The performances in it are all incredible. It's great. But the 20 minutes before that happens in the episode is some of the worst content Glee has produced, where it's Britney being like, I saw a meteor. Oh no, it's a dust speck at the end of a Pringles can. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you don't get to just do that. It's like, we all have to say goodbye to our loved ones. And they're like, the world is not ending. And it's like, wonderful. That's great. And like, then you have that 10 minutes and it's great. And then afterwards, I find the fact that they make it Becky incredibly problematic, because they take this really real situation where there is someone to blame, and they blame it on Becky, and they make a big part of it the fact that she doesn't want to leave because Sue's the only person who understands her with her Down syndrome, and it almost kind of villainizes her and people like her, and I think it's really poorly handled, so I'm going to say no.
That's fair. Drew, what would you have said?
I'm going to say no, but for a different reason, which is sort of like several people mentioned, like it's just not the most memorable of episodes. And considering how heavy the subject is, the fact that we don't remember it because it wasn't like a huge beat of the show, like, oh yeah, Becky did this. Remember that time? Like, like I kind of forgot that the character with Down syndrome brought a gun to school and like it shot, like, like it reminds me kind of and usually when this happens, like when school shootings happen and there's an episode that weirdly coincides with this, it used to happen. I remember there's one episode of Buffy with Danny Strong, who was one of the evil trio, and he was up in a clock tower, and he was shooting at students. And it just happened. This was like before school shootings in America were such a huge epidemic, like its own kind of epidemic, that it coincided with just randomly a school shooting that happened, and they had to pull that episode for like a month or two. So then it like messed up the continuity of it. Again, it's just one of these weird things of like, were they cashing in on a moment that was just kind of happening, and they were like, okay, let's make a school shooting episode, and then it not being memorable is sort of a bigger issue for me. Also, it's just weird. Mr. Shu's like actions in this episode are weird. Like, he's kind of the weird villain of this story, because it's the one right where the other coach asks him out and he says no, but then he decides to like catfish her. It's just weird. Like, he's such a creepy man. You're right. Like, he's a creepy man, but his actions in this episode just are bonkers. They're like absolutely bonkers.
But we bring it back to Drew. Drew, what is the next episode you want to bring up?
Oh, okay. Now all my ones feel like real lame in comparison to these heavy hitters, but I'm gonna go with my second one being the Britney episode. That was the Britney Spears episode. I believe it was in season, is it like 1 or 2? 2. So Britney, as we just kind of discussed, can be sort of like a random character. She's just like the character that pops in and says random things. They gave her that great arc with the Santana, but I think the first season she was mainly just used for being like saying stupid shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse on here.
I mean, you did, so
well,
we're not monetized. Like,
yeah,
good now. Me neither. So that episode, I think, also the first time I saw like a really like celebrity get that was like that big and stayed for that much of the show. Like, the whole episode was based around Britney Spears, and Britney Spears was also in the episode, and they give you a good look into Britney's life and like internal life, which was real funny. And she's a great dancer. Heather was like is an amazing dancer, which is, you know, the strength of some of these people over singing. So I think it just, to me, it's one of the more iconic episodes of being like, oh, hey, I know that song. And oh, hey, like they incorporated it in a way that's seamless. And it's all like, it's kind of like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's like all in her head. And so like, it makes a lot more sense contextually than some of these songs do, where like plot is happening, but they're singing and not on stage.
Yeah. Fun fact is, if you don't already listen to it, there's a podcast called Showmance, which is hosted by Tina and Archie, and
really,
they've started going through all the
Great
episodes about behind the scenes of each episode. They just started doing the episode recaps this year, so I think they're still in season 1. But they did mention that Heather was only sort of hired on Glee as a dancer.
Yeah.
Then Ryan Murphy just randomly decided to give her a line, and that's kind of how the character Britney was born. But yeah, the fun fact.
Was she actually Britney Spears' backup? She might have actually been Britney Spears' backup dancer.
I will look this up for you.
She was. I don't know about if she was ever a backup dancer with Britney Spears. I know she was Beyonce's backup dancer because they brought it on specifically for single ladies. That episode. But Cameron, what do you say about Britney?
This is another episode where I'm kind of torn on it, because I think like them finally making Britney a person with personality is really great, but they take Rachel, who in my opinion is one of Glee's worst characters, to be completely honest. She's incredibly annoying and frustrating, and they somehow make her even more annoying and frustrating in this episode than she's ever been before. And her whole thing with Jacob Bennett is really, really weird in this episode. And then I think the music is good, but the fact that it takes it away from them being like, we're a Glee club doing Glee songs, to being, oh, it's a bunch of dream sequences while we're high on nitrous oxide. And then Mr. Shu invites a teenage sex riot. I think all of that combined is going to make me have to say no.
That's the kind of Ryan Murphy I like. Is like that kind of bonkers bananagram Ryan Murphy is why I tune into Ryan Murphy programs.
Christine, what do you say about Britney?
I love this episode, but I definitely think this episode is just like pure entertainment. Like you kind of have to just take it for like it's a Britney Spears episode and you get to just sing Britney songs. But yeah, like I agree with Cameron in the sense of like the rest of it kind of makes no sense because like why are these kids just going to the dentist for no reason and kind of getting high? But it's also nice that like John Stamos is their dentist, which is like
A
another
better episode with John Stamos featured in it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Well, then I know what you're gonna pick.
First of all, what high school student doesn't like to go to the dentist and get high? This episode tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I love this episode because I just love Britney Spears music. So for me, it's a yes purely on the music. But I guess overall as an episode, it's kind of totally batshit because what Mr. Shu did in that assembly is wildly inappropriate. And that would like never go down. But my heart still says yes. So I'm going to go yes for this.
Also, Britney Spears is in the episode for about 10 seconds.
It's still Britney, man.
Still Britney.
Still Britney, bitch.
Doug, what do you say about Britney?
I'm not a huge fan of this episode. I think the episode's okay. The music's fun, but it's not really an episode, if that makes sense. Like it's literally just a tripping. Let's go on an acid trip. Yeah, it's a no for me, guys. Sorry.
If anything, I'm just realizing I should have put this way higher on my list of episodes. Yeah, it's a total acid strip of an episode. Doesn't make much sense. If we're looking at Glee in context of realism, of whether these characters are this would ever happen in reality, I'm not sure if we can go with any of these episodes besides maybe the quarterback.
Was that knocking at one of your doors? It sounded like
yeah, it was Doug.
Yeah. But yeah, but
it's cool if it doesn't make the top list. But I'm just gonna double down and say that's probably one of my favorites for that reason.
I mean, all their tributes were like that, where there wasn't a plot.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, but specifically that they were high and tripping balls is awesome.
So yeah, for me, this is one of those episodes that was weird, but I enjoyed it all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember rightly, I think they had one Christopher Cross song at the end. Well, that might be the other one, but yeah, I can't. I mean, I like the Britney 2.0 a little bit better, but I don't have a problem with this main list, so I'm going to say yes. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but I will say,
I don't know why you guys. I can't assume no way. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go.
I mean, I will say that, yeah. I will say the fact that they made Britney's full name Britney Spears is very cliche and just random.
I mean, this whole episode is like the definition of random, and yet somehow we do get Britney more fleshed out as a character here than we have had like previously. So I feel like that's saying something. That's saying something.
But we go back to you, Cameron.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna take my shot and I'm gonna go for it. Everyone's been bringing up their favorite episodes. I'm gonna bring up my favorite episode. I am going with season 3, episode 20, called Props. Props is an episode where they are prepping to go to nationals. And they're like trying to make their performance great, and they sort of realize that we don't need all of this like flashy showmanship and incredible dancing that the other groups have. We can just be ourselves, and that's sort of like the main storyline of it. But I think the more important parts of it are you have Puck sort of coming face to face with who he really is, and like realizing that he can be more than everyone thinks that he is. And then you have my personal favorite scene in the entire show. As I said, Coach Beast is my favorite character, and this is the episode where you have the scene where she finally leaves her husband, who's been abusing her, and that scene alone is so powerful where he's like, who's gonna love you if I'm not here to love you? And she just says me. And then you have the beautiful performance between her and Puck of them singing Mean by Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You also get the introduction of Unique, who is a really, really interesting character and is really fun. I love this episode, and it's the perfect character development for the best character in the show.
Christina, what do you say about props?
I did not have it on my list, and honestly, until Cameron gave us a more in-depth analysis of it, I didn't really remember a lot of details about this episode. But those parts with Beast are definitely now that he says it, or are really beautiful moments, and the moment she has with Puck is a big deal, because then later on, like, she's a big part of him. I believe in the quarterback, they kind of have another moment to kind of piggyback off of that one. I would say no, only because for me it wasn't super memorable, but that's, yeah, I didn't have anything really else to say.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna say yes. This one was one I had on my list. I really love this episode too, because I mean, the Coach B storyline aside, that is a really good storyline. My other favorite kind of storyline is Tina being in the forefront for change, because you'd Tina hitting her head and imagining imagining herself and Rachel, just seeing all the characters just being the complete opposite character to what they normally are, like Will being in the jumpsuit being Sue, just Sue being it like, that's mean. Like, it was just so weird, and I loved it all the same. But Drew, what do you say about props?
Yeah, I was about to say, this was the body swap one, right? Or not? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tina hits her head in a fountain, and it's really
weird. It's weird to focus. I mean, the Coach Sue stuff, again, like, I feel we're focusing on like the really heavy parts of this show, and this show, while handling some of it really well, like, also I feel like the randomness of this show sometimes lent itself to like being like, here's a real heavy issue like domestic abuse, and like, boop, it's just like the weird end beat of otherwise like body swap Freaky Friday episode. I did like this episode because Whoopi Goldberg is an Oberlin, like she's at Oberlin, which is where I went to college. I remember watching and being like, oh hey, I was just there. I think it's got Mean, which is, I love Taylor Swift so much. And I remember, I think when this episode came out, I had just gotten on the Wikipedia, like I was quoted in like the Wikia of that song. Like, and I had found that out. And I was like, that's cool. So when they used Mean, I was like, hey, that's my song. Mine, and that I wrote a piece for Swan about how much I don't like the music video, and like it made it to the wiki. I don't think this one is particularly super memorable because I think, you know, Tina is not the greatest singer, so the whole thing it's kind of like a weird body swap episode. You'd want to like maybe get somebody comparable or have it. I don't know. I'm not sure if it goes on my top 12, but it's definitely an interesting and got some great moments in it.
Yeah, so that's a no for you.
Yeah, that's a no for me. That's a no for me, dog.
Yep. Which means, Doug, it's all on you.
Deciding factor. No, I really like this episode. I think the heart and soul from this episode is the end scene. I do like the quirkiness of the episode throughout. I think it's a lot of fun. I think they had a lot of fun until they wanted to kind of like shed some light on what was really happening. And yeah, I enjoyed this episode a lot. I give it a yes.
Right. And props
cool.
makes
no one
the
has
list.
to get murdered. We're good.
I feel bad. I'm like, I don't remember it. And then you started talking about it. I'm like, this was a fun episode.
It was fun, but like it's a top 12 fun of the fun.
Right.
Like, how many episodes are there? There's so many episodes.
Right.
121, I think.
That would be correct.
So whittling it down to 12 it's gonna be a difficult
22, 22, 22, 20, 13.
Wow.
Well, we're halfway through the list.
How many do we have on that made it so far?
We have 6 out of the 12.
Oh, wow.
Okay. We gotta start training them nose.
Christina, we're back to you.
I have to be like more cutthroat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you played willy-nilly at the beginning, and now look where it got you.
Yeah.
Just throwing out yeses.
All right, I'm gonna go one of the sadder ones. Season 4, episode 4. It's the breakup. Where it was just like all of our favorite couples from the series so far just decided to all break up at the same time. I was a big Finchel fan, so that one hurt me a lot. The Blaine and Kurt storyline, though, I feel kind of was just like randomly Blaine cheated, but we never really got like any info on that. But I think it was more along the lines of like, you know, when you're young and somebody leaves and goes away, or you just start this long distance, it's really, really hard to navigate that. And I think like when that season was on, like I resonated with that. Like I was in a long distance relationship. So like this one kind of hit home to me of just like, this is really hard. This is a really hard thing. And then with Santana and Britney, and then Mr. Shu and Emma. And I mean, they just kill it with the Don't Speak. Rachel has that killer duet with Brody, even though he sucks, but they really killed that duet. And then at the very end, when they all sing Scientist, I can't handle that. So I just love that episode. It's so heartbreaking. And then it just, like, you really feel for these characters that are so heartbroken.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I love this episode. I'm probably going to give it a slight no, because it's one of those episodes of which, well, it's heartbreaking with all that happening, but then it all kind of, they all get back together later on in the series anyway, which kind of does, I mean, not that I'm saying it does completely negate sort of the impact of this episode, but know that all the couples that broke up, like with the exception of one for the obvious reasons, but with the fact that all of them get back together and end up and get married by the end of the series, it does kind of negate it. I mean, if it was a case of one of them stayed broken up, then I may have given it yes, but for like just because it just negates everything later on, I'm going to go no. But I'm not the only one here. Doug, what do you say about the breakup?
No, I actually, I enjoy people's opinions on this show. The No Doubt Don't Speak is probably right up there along with The Scientist, and they're both in this episode. I think the episode is done really well. And it doesn't tiptoe around the subject of what real life happens. Like, real life happens, people. This is what it is, and we end up breaking up. Like, it's sad, but you learn to move on. And I think that's what this show does great. It shows you kind of real aspects of, like, it. Yes, it has the fantasy aspects, people breaking out in song and dance, but it also has people dealing with real issues. So yeah, I like this episode a lot. I'll give it a yes.
Drew, what do you say about the breakup?
So this is one of those episodes that like I didn't happen to catch when it was first on, because I'd already stopped tuning in basically by the time these characters were going off to college, and I was like, why are we still following them? Shouldn't it just be like a new class? I always did like that Glee gave them like the 4 years of high school and then was like hard out, like these characters would not be here anymore. That was pretty realistic. And unlike so I watched this one like last night because I was looking at like well-known episodes of Glee, and like two things struck me. One is which like Gwyneth Paltrow must have had such a huge sway on the show, like way more than just her character, because them getting Coldplay was obviously like a Chris Martin thing. I'm not sure what the rule is here for how you guys equate these things. Like, do we take it in the context of the show as a whole, like the fact that it's negated later by
Whatever you want.
Because
whatever reasons you got for the episode.
If we're gonna say like Becky doing a school shooting and that kind of just kind of falling off the grid, or so many of these other things that just kind of like are brought up heavy issues and then are never discussed again. This at least was handled, I feel like, in a realistic way. And yes, some of the characters get back together again over the course of the show, and some of them don't because one guy just straight up died. Like, it is, sometimes you do get back together with the person in your high school. It doesn't, I don't think, undersell the moment. And it's such a great moment. Like, the episode was such a powerful episode because unlike some other ones, this is the kind of stuff that every high schooler has to deal with. It is this bittersweet thing about your high school romances. And I feel like everyone's had to contend to that point at some point of being like, I really like this person, but it's not going to work out. Like it's not anyone's fault, and it's just devastating. So this one's like an emotionally powerful episode that I definitely had on my list. So even though I just said we were gonna have to be a little stricter about keeping stuff off, I am gonna have to put this one on.
With that, the Breakup does make the list, but Cameron, what would you have said?
Yeah, this is in my personal top 10 Glee episodes.
Oh my god, I was so nervous.
Oh no, I love this episode. It's fantastic. Y'all kept bringing up The Scientist and Don't Speak, and those aren't even my top 2 songs in this episode, because Blaine's redo of Teenage Dream, where it's just him weeping at a piano, and then and then Naya Rivera's cover of Mine, where she's just saying to Britney and she's crying. I'm like, oh, this is so good. It's great drama. It's one of the episodes of Glee that continues to remain like entirely serious, despite the fact that the show is a comedy, and it works. Brody's a man whore, and we don't like him.
Yeah, watch that duet with her though. I love that.
I forgot that I said I forgot. Like I didn't just watch it last night, but I did kind of forget already that it was that great Teenage Dream, and it's like a callback to their first, like the first time we see them, and it's devastating. God, like he sells it, man. That kid was like a YouTube star, and then they just
he was in a Harry Potter musical, and that's how they found him.
Yeah, I mean, he's great. I love Darren. I love Darren Criss. I think I not like to side note it too much. I remember now that I went to a premiere in New York of because I used to do premiere reporting for The Observer, and the week that he died, Corey Monteith died, I went to a premiere that was an indie film starring Darren Criss, and he was there, and it was like he really obviously was like devastated and did not want to be doing like the press junkets or going to the after party, and like it just was really. I remember now, like it was one of those crossover, headcanon things where I'm always going to associate seeing Darren Criss with like him just being like devastated and like emotionally wrecked as a human at his own premiere.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for this one, like, Coldplay is notable for not wanting their songs covered on Glee for the longest time. Right. So I'm pretty sure Gwyneth Paltrow did have some sway with that. And as being someone who's not being a fan of Coldplay, I actually prefer the Glee covers over the original Coldplay songs.
Was this before wait, I'm now thinking about it. Was this before or after Gwyneth and Chris Martin like decided to consciously uncouple? Was this during it? Was that something they
It was before.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think they broke up in 2016 or something around there.
They had also done Coldplay before this because they did Fix You in season 3.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I feel like they don't license their songs out just to anyone, and this is a great episode. This is, I think, just uniformly great.
But it brings us back to Doug. What is your next episode?
All right. So I'm in between 2 episodes. Both are, I think, really good episodes. And I think I'm just going to go with this one. I'm going to go with Funeral. I think the biggest thing that made Sue Silvestri such an appealing character to me was finding out that she wasn't just this character. She wasn't just this character of a mean-hearted person. She had something that was tying her to this world to be more than what she was. And that was her sister. And I think her sister, when she lost her sister, you see the relationship you see why she has such a good relationship with Becky through the series. Not to mention it has one of my favorite covers that they've ever done in the show, which is Pure Imagination.
Yeah, great cover.
It's one of my favorite. And then it's a very heartbreaking scene, but it's a heartbreaking episode. But I think this episode it shows you more in depth of why Sue is the way she is. And I think this is a great episode.
We're watching Glee. We're talking about Glee here. All we can talk about is like death.
Everyone's favorite TV comedy from 2009 to 2015.
What if Willy Wonka, but during a funeral?
I'm just saying.
It was a great cover. It was definitely, when I was looking at my numbers, I was like, man, remember that? Like, because I think I was saying earlier, like I really watched the show and I judge the episodes based on like the individual performances more than the storylines, because Ryan Murphy is just so all over the place that like it's hard to like rank something in terms of the narrative structure here. That is a great cover, like one of their best.
But yeah, Funeral is a great episode. I'd love this for a lot of the reasons that that Doug has already said, and the fact you find out that Sue is not this complete robot who's just uncaring. You find it in Spatterings that she does truly care in like the Glee Club, because it's scattered all through various episodes of those like hidden things. But this one I think is beautiful in the fact like she initially like doesn't want the Glee people to organise the funeral, but then eventually she goes like, I mean, okay, you can do it. Just don't screw it up in the whole Sue way. But I don't have a problem saying yes, and I really love what they did with Pure Imagination. It was just really soulful and great. Christina, what do you say about Funeral?
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's a beautiful episode, and I think especially coming from the Glee kids' point of view, is you have this woman who has essentially tormented you and bullied you and is literally made your life hell and thrown slushies in your face and is in such this painful position, and they're still willing to pay tribute to her sister and to pay tribute to her and to be there for her, even though maybe some of them may feel that she didn't even deserve it because she was so awful to them, but it kind of humanized her, I think, a little bit in their eyes. And yeah, I mean, you can't beat that scene when she walks in and sees all of that. So I'm going to go yes for that.
Wait, actually, can I change my answer real quick? Because I'm not even sure if technically I just have given mine yet.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually throw to you yet, but yeah,
okay, good. Yeah, then the next person, and I'll say mine.
Drew, I will go to you now.
Oh, wait, well, I was gonna say, I was saying that was a great song and a great moment. I don't think this actually belongs on the list because it's not the first time that we've seen her, Jane Lynch's character, humanized. It's not the first time we've seen her with Becky, or the fact that she's had this sister who's been like this pretty humanizing and rooting part of the character. This was a great episode with an amazing button of like a moment. But I don't think this, like, in terms of top episodes of Glee, I don't think the death of Sue's sister is one of the top 12 episodes of the show.
So I'll just make sure I got this right. Christina, what did you say, yes or no?
I said yes.
Yep, so it's going to make the list. Cameron, what would you have said?
Yeah, I also would have said yes. I think that ending is great. I think the opening isn't as good because the story is kind of just we have to figure out who is going to be the soloist. All that being said, this is like the only time in Glee when they're doing a performance where they're actually like, we're going to have auditions to see who gets to sing and not just put Rachel in the front. Let's do that. And then, of course, it's Jesse and he's being biased. And then, of course, Jesse vanishes because he's Jesse and he's a pretty boy who's an asshole. Jesse and Rachel should not have been Endgame.
Yeah, well, we didn't have that.
I mean, sorry, did she end up with Jesse?
Yeah.
No.
They get married and then Rachel is a surrogate for Blaine and Kurt's kid. It's wild.
No, but
it's wild.
Ended up with Jesse. That's horrible. I did not know that. Sorry.
Yeah, but no, you have Naya Rivera's cover of Back to Black. You have Chris Colfer doing Some People from Gypsy, which is really fun. Try a Little Tenderness from Amber Riley is fantastic. And then My Man from it's all great.
He kills it.
Yeah.
That's not even my number one favorite Kurt song that he does from Gypsy that this show has shown us.
I mean, I agree with you because his cover of Rose's Turn is brilliant.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know how this episode is going to work because I'm going back into season 5.
Oh no.
It better be the one on my list.
I'm bringing up the episode that just called New Directions. This is the one just after the 101 where the Glee Club's kind of officially been dissolved. And this is the one after that. And I like this one because it's a great kind of episode, and like April and Holly's storyline just trying to work these songs into other clubs again. I thought it was really entertaining, and just like up to the end, especially with the whole we'll just listen to the re-recording of "Don't Stop Believing." The many versions that's been popped up throughout the thing, I thought worked really well. Just him just sitting alone in that choir room, just hearing the voices of all the students, even with Finn's just being in there as well. I just thought it was a great episode. It was just simple, and I thought it was kind of one of those ones which, if it ended up being the season finale of the show, I would not have been upset about. But yeah, Doug, what do you say about New Directions?
All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8. I think there's better episodes out there for the final 4 slots. I gotta say no to this one.
Drew, what do you say about New Directions?
Hold on, I'm reading the plot synopsis. No, it's. I don't think it can make it up there for me because, again, like I did tune into season 5 and 6 when there was something momentous happening, the breakup was one example. Obviously, the quarterback's another one. This is a interesting turning point for the show. Like this is sort of the handing of the torch episode, and it apparently has Kristen Chenoweth and Gwyneth Paltrow. But those two negate each other out. I love Christian. I hate Gwyneth. So, so I'm gonna have to say no to this one, but not because it probably isn't a good episode, but because it's part of this ongoing. This show probably lasted a little bit longer than it should have. Thing for me.
Cameron, what do you say about New Directions?
So I rewatched this episode this morning. I started with the episode directly before this and was like, I'm going to see if there's actually anything redeeming about the second half of season 5. And while this episode is not bad, this is also the episode that sent Glee to the fiery hellscape that is the second half of season 5. And also it's not amazing. Gwyneth Paltrow sings Party All the Time for the Animal Husbandry Club for some reason, and it doesn't make any sense. She also impersonates Temple Grandin, incredibly problematic and incredibly uncomfortable.
Wow, that was not okay at the time.
Yeah, you'd think that like they got away with some stuff that you could not get away with nowadays.
Ryan Murphy gets away with a lot of stuff that
and it's only been 5 years. Like it's But no, I'm gonna have to say no. As much as the version of Don't Stop Believing at the end of this is the second best version of Don't Stop Believing, and one of the only 2 or 3 good times they've done it, because not every time they've done it is good.
How many times did they do Don't Stop Believing?
I want to say 5 or 6.
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
It's like 5 or 6.
It's a lot. They did it at least once a season until season 5. They didn't do it in season 6 during the finale, which is the one time they really should have done it again.
I remember that was a huge part of the show, and it's a big theme, but that's too many times to do Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, but no, I'm gonna say no to this episode.
Christina, what would you have said about New Directions?
I really enjoyed this episode, but I think because this was kind of coupled with the episode before it. I think I remember when this aired, maybe it was either 2 hours or they made it the back.
Yeah, it was a 2-parter.
Right? I think this was their big fan service. I even think there was a vote of we could, as fans, could vote on the songs we wanted.
There was. I voted. I remember.
Oh my god! And this is what they picked.
Yeah.
They're we're gonna do Raise Your Glass, but the New Directions didn't do Raise Your Glass.
Right, and we're gonna do Valerie the exact same way Santana already did Valerie. But I really, really, really liked this episode. But again, I just think, it's enjoyable. And this is when I rewatch the series, this is pretty much where I stop because I can't stomach the second half of season 5. And then I'll watch the last couple episodes of season 6. I really, really like it. It's one of my more enjoyable ones. I think mostly because I'm a fan service kind of person. I love all that kind of stuff. I'm here for the corniness. But I think if we're just going quality of episode and what it brings to the story, I'm going to go no. But I really do like the episode, and I do like the music, and it was a fun episode.
Yep. And to answer, I think it was Doug's question about how many times they did Don't Stop Believing. It was 6 times. And they did have
overall 6. I feel like I'm only remembering 4.
They do
Pilot,
it twice in
the
season
flashback,
1. They do it in season 4 twice. They do it in season 5 at least once.
they do a reprise of it in the episode of season 6 called 2009, where they go back.
Oh
to
yeah,
time.
but
that's
the same show.
That's the one I remember. I've not even seen most of season 6, but I remember the one where they go back in time and they,
But we go back to Drew. What is the next episode you want to bring up?
No, don't worry. If you're feeling bad about one of yours not making the list, I feel like the rest of mine are not going to be. They're not going to be.
It's literally story of my life on this show. I have episodes where I get things on the list. I have episodes where I get nothing on the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna say let's just go with probably a pretty divisive one. The Rocky Horror Glee episode. Just because, again, sort of like the Britney one, it's just so bonkers. It's the concept of, I remember I loved Rocky Horror Picture Show when I was a kid, and I remember being in high school and being like, oh, would it be cool if they let us put on Rocky Horror? And it's no, of course not. It's the same reason people during that time period weren't letting you put on Rent. It's these are not issues that necessarily should or would be discussed in a high school. It was really cool though. It was the first gender swapped Frankenfurter when Mercedes gets to play Frankenfurter, which was pretty cool. Matthew Morrison and Leah Michele famously did Rocky Horror together. I think for a staged thing of it, either before or during the filming of Glee, and they were Brad and Janet. So that's just a weird. That's just a weird thing to know that they were coupled up in some some production of Rocky Horror. I just really love it. It goes to a lot of the themes of Glee that I really liked, which is it's edgy, it's weird, it's for the weirdos. This is not supposed to be for everybody. And I think there's a really valid point about why it shouldn't actually exist, why they shouldn't put on a show like Rocky Horror Picture Show in a high school. That's a valid argument to make, but it's a really good episode, and I love Rocky Horror. And I think for any super fan of musical theater, it was this episode that everyone got real excited about happening.
But yeah, Cameron, what do you say about the Rocky Horror Glee show?
How many spots do we have left? 4?
4.
Man, this is because I like this episode and it's fun, but also they didn't give me Mike Chang as Frankenfurter like they promised me partway through the episode.
No, they give you Mercedes as Frankenfurter.
Justice for Mike Chang always. Justice for Matt Rutherford. This is hard. John Stamos this is the better John Stamos episode I was referring to earlier. Yeah, because his version as Eddie is incredible.
Is he the same character? Is it just the dentist comes back for this?
Yeah, and he's playing Eddie because they don't know what they're doing.
Justice for Mike Chang.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Hey, much like Rocky Horror, this episode's not gonna be for everyone.
No, I like this episode. It's in my top 20. It's just there's 4 spots left, and I have more things above it.
Christina, what do you say about Rocky Horror Glee show?
Yeah, I think I really enjoy all the tribute episodes they do, where the one episode is just solely focusing on one thing. If you're going purely on music on those episodes, I think it's phenomenal. I feel sometimes though the plot gets lost in whatever's happening because they just want to sing 10 songs from whatever they're talking about.
Which is great.
Yeah, which is awesome for the episode. Mm-hmm. I personally, though, and this is where people might not like me, I'm not really a big Rocky Horror fan, so I'm just gonna say no on that one.
Doug,
Sorry,
Doug, what do you say about Rocky Horror Glee Show?
This is like one of my favorite nonsensical episodes, and it's great. But I am a huge Rocky Horror fan. Like, I'm a huge Rocky Horror fan. I remember seeing Rocky Horror when I was young, when I probably shouldn't have seen it.
I
should not have seen that movie.
I was way too young to see Rocky Horror, and I feel like maybe that's
Tim Curry is God. He's in 2 of my favorite movies. Yeah, it's a yes.
Which means it's down to me.
Ooh.
I really love this episode, and this was just really fun, and I mean, this is what I kind of feel is really topical as well, because it does tackle the whole what shows are high schools allowed to do and what could they get away with, because this is kind of tackling that, because I know there's a few things where people try to put inappropriate shows on in high schools, so a lot of the time, so I feel that's what they were trying to say. And I mean, this was just fun, just having Meatloaf and Barry Bostwick just popping up in this episode, trying to stop Rocky Horror Picture Show from just going on.
I forgot about that. Argument. Yeah.
But this is one that I'm going to say yes to. I love this episode. But on a side note, one of the on with John Stamos, because I know they've had him pop up sing a few times. The fact that they never had him sing Dentist from Little Shop of Horrors is bizarre. That's kind of a really missed opportunity with John Stamos.
I mean, and quite honestly, I would have good. Oh, I was going to say,
which means we go back to Cameron for the.
There's a little bit of a lag.
There's just that little bit of lag that makes conversation difficult. I've got a few. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with that one. I'm gonna go with that one. Yeah, let's go for it. I am going with the season 3 episode Asian F. As I said before, justice for Mike Chang, my boy. The one of the most snubbed characters in the show, second only to the great Matt Rutherford, a man who was in the Glee Club yet only had 3 lines in 6 seasons of the television show. Asian F is an episode where Mike is working on trying to be in West Side Story, and he's like finally becoming a singer and a dancer, and then he gets an A- on a chemistry exam, which is dubbed an Asian F, and you learn that his father is very strict and like doesn't approve of his like performance in it, but Mike chooses like his love of performing over having the respect of his own father in the end, and it sets up an arc that lasts for a while. And then you have the auditions for West Side Story happening at the same time, where you have Rachel and Mercedes competing against each other, and it's fantastic. You have Shelby Corcoran coming back, leading the Trouble Tones, and doing all of that. You have is there anything else that I'm really missing? You have the bit of drama and tension between Kurt and Blaine, because Blaine, without telling Kurt, decides to audition to play Tony, and there's and Kurt is trying to prove that he can do it, and he slowly realizes that he can't, and he has to come to terms with the fact that like he unfortunately is going to be stereotyped this way because that is who he is. And I think it's a fantastic episode. And also you have the student council president race.
And Emma and her OCD and her parents.
Yeah, and Emma and her parents, where you have Fix You. Yeah.
You have an A plot, you have a B plot, you have a C plot, and you also have a D and F plot.
It's almost like Glee is an ensemble show with a ton of people in it.
It's almost like this show was on a network station that had enough episodes to focus on one thing at a time.
Drew, what do you say about Asian F?
As much as I want to be like, we only have 3 spots left, and like this is a great episode, but not like I remember this episode, and I remember being like, this is a like standout episode because specifically Asian Mike was such a good character, and this was like just like the Britney one. This is like, let's take this side character who would kind of treat like he's just like a workhorse or a prop, or he's just sort of like unnecessary. He's just a B or C character, and let's give him some real depth. He was also just like a really attractive dude, and I always thought that like that character should have been given way more to do. He was a dancer, sort of like Tina. Like they were both like and Britney. They were both like they were all 3 like the great dancers of the show. I feel like rather than the great singers. And this episode kind of gave him a little bit more chance in the spotlight. This episode, it's hard to put words into why Asian F is like a great episode, and I actually forgot to put it on my list. But I remember feeling it when I first saw it, and I remember being like, "This is the best one of the show so far." So, and yeah, the Kurt stuff, the fact that he just has to come to the realization that he cannot play Tony. That's another hard truth. That's like a long distance relationship. It's no one's fault, just not happening. So yeah,
Christine. Yeah. Christina. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like when I think of like my most memorable, it's always with the music, and then it's like, and I think this one isn't as, not that it's bad, but it's not as memorable because it is the real life stuff. It is my parents are disappointed in me with their unrealistic expectations. I'm never going to get to play this part because I don't have the stereotypical. So it's like actually a Glee episode where things aren't so out of control, where it's like sometimes you watch the episodes and you're like, what is happening right now? And like this character hasn't been here in 5 weeks. Now all of a sudden they're back with this like catastrophic problem. But this was like a real issue. And then you have Emma who's struggling with trying to figure out if she has a mental illness or not, and then coping with her parents. So I would think just on the basis of this being like one of their most realistic episodes, I'm going to go, yeah, definitely yes.
Doug, what would you have said about Asian F?
Point A. Emma's parents are dicks.
Truth.
Truth.
Ginger supremacists.
Ginger supremacists.
Yikes. But no, I love
Ryan Murphy for you.
I think Drew, you nailed it. It has a plot point A, plot point B, plot point C, and none of them like outshine each other. They work in a cohesive story, and it's a perfect episode for me. It's a really good episode. It's a yes.
This is one that I would have pulled my strategic no, and just because I think there's some that I would have wanted to try and get on over this. I'm not that it's a bad episode. I do like it. I like the episodes where they focus on a lot on a character that doesn't get a lot of attention, because I mean, probably about half the show is focusing on Rachel at this point, which and I like Rachel as a character. She's been popped up so much throughout the series that it does get annoying. But this is just one I don't remember that much. I remember the Mike storyline. That's probably about that for me. But yeah, but Christina, back to you for your next episode.
Well, wait, real quick. I also have to say, I'm just looking it up. This also had their first Coldplay cover and the Beyonce the Beyonce song, the "Who Runs the World."
Who Runs the World,
Which is great. Just such a great one. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna throw it back to season 2, and this is Prom Queen. So this is not the dinosaur prom, which is also excellent.
That's great.
Is it?
I love that episode.
I love it. Whatever that dinosaur song is, I'm just like, I'm feeling it. I'm like,
it's by Kesha.
Yeah, but I'm like, is this even a real song? I never heard before. But in the Prom Queen episode, the New Directions have to play prom, and you have a lot of great music in there. I believe this is when they do the Friday cover by Rebecca Black.
Yeah.
I believe they do a One Direction cover. Rachel sings the Christina Perri song because she went with Jesse. And I think the biggest moment of this episode is that Kurt gets voted prom queen. and just like the utter shock, sadness, embarrassment. And then you just think that the way they tackle his storyline, I really appreciate how they do it. Things like this, unfortunately, can happen where they embarrass a person to this level. And I just feel like the way that Blaine was there for him, and the way that Kurt tried to get Karofsky to like man up a little bit, was just like a big storyline for me. And I really thought this was a beautiful episode.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one that I didn't put on my list myself, but I really do love this episode. And I remember hearing that they're going to cover Big Black Swans. Like, my first instinct was why, but then I saw the episode. I was like, this is actually pretty good. I don't mind this for cover. And I'm pretty sure if Glee was still going today, they would have covered Baby Shark at one stage.
This is so sad. Rachel Berry sing Despacito.
Yeah, it would be Baby Shark, but it'd be meshed up with Baby Yoda, and it would have been.
Not to mention Old Town Road as well pop up.
Yeah.
But
they would have probably killed that cover. I'm not lying. They probably would have killed that cover.
Oh, that acapella cover of Baby Shark would have been amazing.
The Warblers doing Baby Shark.
Mic drop.
You're right. It's definitely a Warbler song. That's the
although
thing.
within the continuity, the Warblers no longer exist. But we'll get to that.
In season 3? Oh, I would say
at that point, if it were still going now, it couldn't happen. But continue. Right. We'll get there.
If we're still going now, nothing could ever happen because school's dismissed and the world's ending.
But anyway, for Prom Queen, I'm probably going to give it a slight no, but this is one that I won't hate if it makes the list. But Doug, what do you say about Prom Queen?
Dude, this was such a great episode. From the cover of like Rolling in the Deep to probably my favorite cover of a Stevie Wonder song, which is Isn't She Lovely?
Oh yeah, that
already kills that. I think it's a great story overall. And I mean you know what? Eat your heart out, Kate Middleton. I'm giving it a yes.
With that, well, Drew, what do you say about Prom Queen?
I'm gonna give this one. I don't think it matters at this point because it's just a technicality. But I'm gonna give this one a no, just because, like on a theoretical level here, this doesn't work for me. These kids, these outsiders who were told time and time again, are like, the weirdos, the freaks, the little monsters. These kids would not care about prom this much. These kids would not all be at prom. Like, the fact that they want to have their cake and eat it too with this program and be like every major thing that would be happening to a high school like students. Like, yes, some of these characters would be at prom. Like Santana would have like a role at prom. Some of these kids would just be like at home doing their vocal warm-ups or like having their like alternative party. And I don't know, like the Kurt beats, there are just other better episodes about Kurt's homosexuality and how he deals with it. The Carrie moment of this, like the part that is like a horrible gender swapped version of the movie Carrie, is like it's real hard to take. And I agree, Christine, it's like very important that these things do happen. This kind of bullying and this kind of like horrific stuff happens. But again, it's not treated like the main part of it's just like this beat. It just happens. And then it's sort of like dismissed and we go on. And I was looking at this one when I was looking at like the best episodes or what are considered the best episodes. I remember thinking about my own high school prom, and I had a really hard time remembering if I went or not. So like I was like, oh wait, I did go, but like the bigger thing was I had the after party and like the cops came and like
that's what I couldn't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember prom. It's the after party. I don't remember.
I definitely remember the after party. Don't remember my prom. And honestly, yeah. So I wouldn't put this episode on the list.
But yeah, and actually, it's down to Kim.
Yeah, it's down to me now. Well, my high school didn't have a prom. I went to a Christian high school, and dancing leads to touching, and touching leads to babies, and that's not okay. See, I like this episode. I think this is a good episode, and I love Kurt. And I think Karofsky is one of the most
Cross great.
created characters in the show.
Absolutely.
But
100%.
literally, my next episode that I am going to bring up has a better Karofsky Kurt arc moment, and I think overall is better. So I'm gonna say no to this and try and swap in a different one in its place.
Doug, it's back to you for your next nomination.
All right, so I get to nominate the other episode that I want to talk about, and I think this episode is great. I think it has a lot of importance on the series, and it's theatrically.
Theatricality.
Sorry,
Oh,
theatricality.
Darn it.
Sorry, but this starts out with a funny little moment about not dressing like you're goth and being a Twilight vampire, and then gets into some real serious stuff. But also while not being like holding you down serious. Rachel finding out the rival gang of the vocal adrenaline, Quinn and Puck deciding on Beth. Beautiful cover of Beth. And then the bombshell moment of Shelby being revealed as Rachel's mom, biological mom, is heavy on this episode. And that's not even the end of the episode. The end of the episode leads with Finn saying a word that he shouldn't have said to Kurt, and then defending him at the end of the episode because he realized that he's wrong. This episode has what this show is about. This show pushed for about being different or being unique and not judging people and not calling them names, supporting them. I think that's a big proponent of this show, and I think that's what makes this episode really great. Not only just for, the other things that are in this episode, but the other things in this episode are as well as great. They are just as great. Like I said, that Puck cover of Beth is ridiculously good. And I think it's great that they call her Beth after that.
This episode brings me has one of my favorite moments, and that's Tina pretending to be a vampire, convincing Figgins to let her dress the way she. It shows how entertaining Figgins can be, and Figgins is just great because he plays one of those great roles in which is like easily blackmailed, but it also can have moments. But this is I'm gonna say yes. This is a fun episode, and it is one of those ones which does sort of bring to light that be who you want to be. It does set the tone of the show perfectly, which is what the show's going for the whole series. Drew, what do you say about theatricality?
I'm not really sure because again, I need to watch more of this show to know exactly if I should be happy that someone pulled for the episode that was probably my number one. I was saving it for last, and so it's more likely to make the list, or mad because now I'm gonna have to go to one of my backup choices. It is so exactly what you said, Doug. It's so endemic of what this show is and was, and the whole thesis statement of the show was always very in line with what Lady Gaga, and that's the other big part of it. It's a Lady Gaga sort of jukebox episode, right? This is the one we're talking about, right?
No, they have the Bad Romance where Vocal Adrenaline does the cover of Bad Romance.
But am I crazy that this was billed as the big sort of?
They do Bad Romance.
It was billed as the Lady Gaga episode, and they did two Lady Gaga numbers, and then two Kiss songs. Right.
So I'm remembering the right one. That's the important part. Is that I'm thinking of the right one. The overarching concept here is that Lady Gaga is the sort of spirit animal for what this show is, because she's about tolerance and acceptance and about being as weird as possible and letting your freak flag fly. And that to me is what the show is about at its core. It gets lost sometimes in its desire to be all the things at once. But this show, at its heart, should be a Lady Gaga, people coming together using the wrong terms. Whoops, and now learning from it. That's also one of those moments that you're whoa, that worked. That wouldn't work today, and did it work then? Wasn't that a little aggressive even for them? But that's real life. That's how aggressive shit is. and it's even though I like Lady Gaga, she's no like Taylor Swift in my mind in terms of like her music, in terms of like just hearing covers of her music. But this episode like just is the heart of the show, so it's gonna be a hard yes.
But yeah, if that it does make the list. Cameron, what would you have said?
So this is it's interesting because this is my personal number 11, so I do believe it should be in the top 12. The issue is that I had more than 2 things above it still from my personal top 12, so it was like a big dilemma. I'm happy that it's on and deserves a spot here. This is one of the 3 episodes in the entire series in which Matt Rutherford says a line. He's got 3 lines, one in 3 different episodes, and this is one of them where he says, "Yeah, I'm just as the guy you replaced Artie when he quit." Justice for Matt Rutherford.
Oh, right, that's right.
He had a spider in his ear at one point. It was weird. But no, I like this episode, and that end with Kurt and Finn is like a really great, powerful moment between them. The cover of Beth is one of my favorite, which, fun fact, several people in the cast of Glee hate that cover. Specifically, Naya Rivera is not a fan of it. And the cover of Poker Face is also fantastic. I really enjoy this episode. I'm happy it's on the list. I'm not happy because my number 4 is still not on, and now I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, Glee does have a habit of having characters just disappear without any explanation, which they went with a lot of times in the series. Funny enough,
I mean, they explained it. He had a spider in his ear.
But I mean, I wasn't about that. But I think Joe disappears for a few episodes and then comes back at some stage in season 5. I think.
Justice for all the people that were on the Glee project and then got onto the show and weren't given the respect they deserve.
I think
Glee project. Oh my god. Oh my god. I forgot about the existence of that. Talk about like melding of realities where they're just like, let's just try to make Glee let's try to like interworld this and make like Glee exist as much in the real world as it is a TV show.
Was Blake Jenner on the original Glee project?
He was, but we don't need to talk about him.
Well, that's fair. But,
there's several Glee cast members we don't need to talk about, and that's one of them.
I mean, one of the other ones we have talked about a few times, but never mind. But
it's fine.
But it's back to me, and for what will potentially probably be my last shot at trying to get something on, and I'm going to go for let's see, I'm going to go for a few episodes after Dark. I'm going to go for the episode called Journey to Regionals.
Oh damn it! I mean, good.
Drew does not understand how this show works.
I'm like happy to put him on.
And I mean, this is a fun one for me because I really do like this. I really do like this episode, and it's just one that it is the like ending, like even though they did sort of not win at the end, but I think they more did that just because they didn't know if they were going to get a season 2. You never really know. So, but this is just one of those episodes which I really enjoyed for a few reasons. I do like the fact that this is kind of where they showed that Sue really does care about the Glee Club, and when it's revealed at the end that she did vote, she was the one that voted for them to win. But the other reason I like this is I like the Bohemian Rhapsody cover in this, and the way they managed to intertwine that with Quinn's birth was a lot of times. So some of those, the way they transitions, like I know it showed her pushing while they were singing "Mama, Don't Let Me Go," something along those lines.
The Bohemian Rhapsody was so good.
And it was just one of those ones that I really enjoyed. But Christina, what do you say about Journey to Regionals?
That's a definite yes for me. Like you just said, the Bohemian Rhapsody scene is so good in the sense of definitely like the let me go, and she's having that struggle. My personal favorite part of this is when Finn finally tells Rachel that he loves her. And this is, right before they're about to go on and they sing Faithfully and they kill that song. And when they don't win,
not even second.
Right. And I get a little teary-eyed too. Like I take it from like the educator point of view, like to see the disappointment in your students' eyes like that is so heartbreaking. And you went through this whole season with these characters and you see how talented they are and you see how hard they work and you see how much they want this for themselves and to feel validated at their school. And it just doesn't happen for them. And it's just a tragic and beautiful ending. And I'm definitely, yes, put it on the list.
Cameron, what do you say about Journey to Regionals?
I'm upset. Because based on the reactions of people, I know that even if I say no, it's probably going to get said yes to, which hurts my soul.
One of us.
Like, I like this episode. It's a good episode. Matt Rutherford says a line, but
we're
I'm not getting over it. He got 3 lines. Look, because if I've learned anything in A, this moment, and B, the 2016 election, my vote doesn't matter. So, I mean, I'm Canadian, so it really doesn't in the American election.
Yeah, it never mattered.
Yeah, as well. I want
your opinion matters, so I would like to hear your
I feel like the only way I can possibly get someone to say no to this is if I right now argue my case for the other episode I want before I have the chance to bring it up.
Ooh.
So I'm going to say,
or how many
I don't know how this works. I'm just going to go for it. Say no to this, please. I want to put On My Way on this list because the Karofsky storyline and the Quinn storyline and the wedding, and that is great. Please say no like I am right now.
Drew, what do you say about Journey to Regionals?
I mean, I love. That was a pretty compelling argument. However, this is probably my number 1 episode. Probably it's in my top 3. This over the Nationals episode by far because this is like this. First of all, my dad. I remember my dad, who's like not a musical theater person that much or anything, texted me after this episode was over. He happened to catch it. And he was like, "Holy shit, that Bohemian Rhapsody cover!" It does mark one of the few times or like one of the bigger times where you're like, isn't this supposed to be a cappella competition? Why is there other music like going on at any point? But it's such a great job. I think there's only like several people in the world who can do Freddie Mercury, and Rami Malek is, in my opinion, not one of them. But Jonathan Groff hitting all those notes, hitting the entire range that Freddie was able to hit. Jonathan Groff is one of them. And that's just such an iconic episode because it is like we've been talking about versus true to life versus, what our TV show is supposed to be, how much realism are they supposed to portray. This was that perfect medium point where they don't win, they don't even place. However, it's still a win because the main antagonist of the season has realized that she has more in common with them. And in a very Joker-like moment is like, well, I wouldn't really have anything to do if you guys aren't around. So, I mean, it's such a great losing the battle to win the war episode. And it's an Adina episode. We get Adina and Groff and like, it definitely, it was a season finale, right? Like this one definitely hooked me into watching another season.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. This was like, I was on the fence all season, saw this episode and was like, okay, I'm sold. So that's going to be a hard yes for me. I'm sorry. I love Kowalski so much. Like he's a great character.
The Journey to Regionals does make the finish off the 12. Doug, what would you have said?
I'm gonna just Cam, I would have gone with you, man.
Thank you, Doug. Cough syrup is the best cover Glee's done.
I do a 13th.
Honorary mentions.
Honorary mentions are a thing. No, I think this episode's great. I think it's great that you find that Shelby's finally ready to be a mom at this episode. And while there's a lot of great stuff, this show for me has always been the little moments, and that little moment is something that's really big in the grand scheme of everything.
I mean, yeah, we can talk about like breakups being a big deal and stuff, but somebody has a baby in the middle of like an acapella finale. Like, it's huge.
But that does bring up the nomination portion of this. We'll get to ranking, but we'll talk about honorable mentions. And I'll start with Cameron. Cameron, what honorable mentions did you have?
Yeah, so my first honorable mention is On My Way. Should have been on this list. I think the overall idea of it is great. It's a regionals episode that honestly, everything else that isn't regionals that is happening in that episode is more important and more interesting than the regionals in it. You have Karofsky, who gets outed over Blaine singing Cough Syrup, which is beautiful, and then the car crash at the end. I don't have to pitch this. I should just be saying my other honorable mentions. Dreams Come True, the series finale, like it wraps up the series nicely and manages to fix the mistakes of the past. The rise and fall of Sue Sylvester, where Sue finally just gets like called out for all of the lies and bullshit she's been saying for 2 years, and then also Dalton Academy burns to the ground, and so the Warblers start going to McKinley. That is a real storyline that happens. It's a real thing that happens in the show. This is season 6.
This is some real jump the shark kind of shit. Like,
yeah. The Sue Sylvester Shuffle, where they do the Thriller Heads Will Roll mashup, is fantastic. And again, Karofsky episode. Born This Way, where Kurt comes back from Dalton. Again, Karofsky is in the episode. The Michael Jackson tribute episode. Season 1 sectionals. It's a great show, and I love a lot of it.
Talking about really jumping the shark. One of my favorite episodes from season 6, and this is what I would have changed it if I was to bring it up, is the Hurt Locker episode. The one in Sue does a sword-like trap, and just to get Kurt and Blaine back together. And that is that is legit in season 6.
I love how like this is a show where we could just make up shit and it could sound like it's real.
Everyone give their things, and then we decide if we want to boot off any ones that we have previously decided on, and to see if like in retrospect we like that other one more. But it's any my show, so
yeah. I mean, maybe if I retool this for next year, I may incorporate.
Let's retool it right now. Let's get rid of Britney and put On My Way.
It's season 6, though. I don't know. I'm happy. I feel like all my big ones made it, so I'm pretty happy.
One of the other ones I really did like was the episode original songs, because a lot of criticism Glee got was like, all they've ever done is covers. They've never done any original songs. And original songs was when they started to sort of toy with just writing original music, and that comes back later in the season finale when they do original songs. I've got a long list. I liked all the Christmas episodes. I could not decide which one to throw out there, so which is why I ended up not throwing any of them up. But Christina, what did you have any as honorable mentions?
I had from season 2, I liked the duets episode. The first time they started that one, we got the it kind of brought Santana to the forefront a little bit more. You had the Sam and Quinn duet. This is just a personal favorite of mine. I don't think it's that good of an episode. I just think it's hilarious. This is the Blame It on the Alcohol. And they
such a fun episode.
I saw that one like at number 1 on so many people on like so many lists online, and I was like, I don't get it. I'm sorry.
I just love it, and then I just think it's hilarious, and I just love when they're like just all wasted at the party and all the typical drunk people. I like the New York Nationals, where they're trying to get everything back together, where they're trying to Finn wants to get back together with Rachel. And my only other season 5 episode that I liked was the Nationals, the City of Angels, where they do like the big Finn tribute. And my last one would be the wedding, Mr. Schuster's wedding, the wedding that didn't happen, where Emma runs out. I liked that episode also.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Drew, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
Most of mine, like honestly, most of mine were either brought up or made the list. I would say, let's see, the one that I had that I don't think anyone's mentioned yet is Laryngitis, which is the episode about Kurt trying to get the attention from his dad, and his dad's trying to bring Finn to all the games and stuff, and that's where we get the Rose's turn. Kurt's Turn Gypsy cover, but it also has another great Jesse St. James song, which is him doing Jesse's Girl, which I'm pretty sure is why they named the character Jesse. So like just from the sheer fact that this is like some world building right here, God, Kurt doing Gypsy. I could just watch a whole show of that. In my perfect world, Glee is just the kids in the musical theater class doing like whole musical productions, and we wouldn't actually have to watch their A, B, C, or D plots. We could just watch goals of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that is why they named Jonathan Groff's character Jesse's like, we want to do Jesse's Girl. How are we going to fit that into here somehow? It's like,
yeah.
Well,
but ironically, like Kurt, the song is called Rose's Turn, but they make every word, they make Rose Kurt. So it's not like they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it a few. It's got a name in the song. They have changed it. I can't remember. I think it might have been Proud Mary, where they start off with this one's for you, Artie, or something like that. But yeah. But Doug, what some honorable mentions? That
wait! I had one more. I had one more honorable mention. Sorry, and that literally is just for a moment, and it's for one song. So this one, I'm glad. Like this list worked out perfectly for me because this last one was just because of the one song, which is the Wheels episode, which because of the Defying Gravity. That's the one where I think it's season 1 where Kurt and Rachel. Yeah, are going after the main lead, and they decide to both do Defying Gravity, which is like, don't ever try to like do a Defying Gravity sing off with Leah Michelle, Chris. Or I mean, like, and he throws it at the end. Like, I think the realization is that he threw it on purpose to like give it to her, but like, it's a hard moment to watch. It's one like the best. It feels like the most musical high school thing that would actually happen, which is like a gay kid and this like this theater queen going after the same thing by having a wicked sing off, and it's just such a good number. That and like I think that along with the duality of Rachel and Kristen Chenoweth doing Maybe This Time from Cabaret are my favorite versions of not a mashup, but that, what is it called, when two people are singing the same song and you're just cutting between the same versions. Feel So Pretty was another one like that. I feel like, no, that was a mashup, but yeah. So that was my only last one on the list. Otherwise, we hit them all.
Yeah. Doug, what?
It got mentioned a little bit ago, but Sectionals. I love that episode, and I love that cover of "And I'm Not Telling You" by Dreamgirls with Mercedes. That whole scene is ridiculously good. The last one I'm going to bring up is Home. And specifically just for the whole Kurt and Finn thing. I think this episode is beautiful. The cover of A House Is Not a Home by Deanna Warwick is beautiful. It's done again later in the season, but yeah. I think the song is phenomenally great. Yeah. Also, Bert is one of the greatest TV dads in history.
Probably the great. I mean, Rachel's dads are also fantastic. Let's be clear. Jeff Goldblum and who played the other dad? At least one of them.
It changes. It changes.
It changed from the first season to like when they actually came on.
Yeah, because in the first season you see a photo in her locker and one of her dads. The one she's just like, I wonder which one's my dad. Oh no!
I'm talking about the one where we meet them, and one of them is Jeff Goldblum, and the other one is someone else.
The other one is Brian Stokes Mitchell. He's the singing voice of the dad in The Prince of Egypt.
I'm gonna have to look up. Wait, they're both in The Prince of Egypt. That was just like a nice Prince of Egypt callback.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, the parents in the show were given a surprising amount of depth, considering that apparently one character who you always see only got 3 lines.
Matt Rutherford.
but yeah.
I know.
But now we get to the fun part of the show where we actually rank the episodes that made it onto our list. So just to recap, the 12 episodes we have is we've got Dream On, The Quarterback, National, School Cheeses, Britney, Props, The Breakup, Funeral, Rocky Horror Glee Show, Asian F, Theatricality, and Journeys to Regionals. And what we do is we write down on a whiteboard, a bit of paper, the episode that we want at number 12. And
I have a whiteboard somewhere.
Yeah.
I
So someone in the live chat said, I believe Brian Stokes Mitchell has COVID virus right now.
What?
He did. He is already clear and did a video of him seeing the impossible dream from his window because he was in Man from La Mancha.
Fun fact, he was also Trevor on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That he was.
That's right. I remember. It's like I looked up something that I found out.
Can on my birthday, can we do an episode of Rank 'em and just do the best Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episodes? Because I'd be down. I'd be so down for that.
There's a solid number 1 on that as well.
There is a solid number 1 of that.
How come
and
you
a
don't
solid
want me,
number
man?
2.
Guys, I promised you I took out a whiteboard of which Eric has several and a pen. Here's the pen. But I'm gonna have to write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah, so that's all good.
Or a bag, I guess. It's gonna be on a bag.
I mean, you can always just say the one you want at 12.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
can just go to you first, and then you can say it.
Yeah.
No
Drew,
swing
what do you want
votes.
for 12?
For number 12, you mean number 12th on the list out of these ones? Hop to someone else first. I need to take a gander and think about my choices here.
Cameron, what do you have for 12?
Surprising no one, I wrote Britney.
Christina.
I knew this is what Cameron was going to say, so solidarity, because I feel bad that we didn't get his one pick.
Yeah. Guilt.
Doug.
I actually went Rocky Horror Glee Show.
I actually went funeral.
I went grilled cheeses. Sorry, guys. This is
I
unnecessarily
mean,
dark.
Britney is 12. We did it.
Okay.
I mean, that was actually going to be what I put up for 11, so I'm not too unhappy about that.
Britney.
I'm here to play the game.
I'm here to play the game.
That's how democracy works. You don't get like your pick back on because we've disliked one of the
No,
other.
I'm not here to fight for On My Way anymore. That bridge has been burned. Now I'm here to make sure everyone
Now you're
else's
just going to
bridge
burn
is
everything
burned.
else. Okay.
But
He got
Well,
across luckily. Now he's just burning down the town.
This is exactly why we don't let Canadians vote.
Hey, we burned your White House down. This is a lot less bad than that.
Drew, what do you have for
For
what do you have
number
for
11?
11?
I'm gonna have to go with funeral, for number 11, because again, there are other episodes that showed Sue's humanity. This was just like an unnecessarily dour episode, so I don't think this makes a list for me. Top 12.
Doug, what do you have for 11?
Rocky Horror Glee Show.
I've still got funeral. Christina.
I went and Dream On.
Cameron.
Okay. I wrote something different down. Can I change my vote? Because someone's gonna have to. Because otherwise, it's a.
I mean, it's up to you if you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Dream On.
Solidarity, Cameron.
Solidarity.
So,
I was
And
gonna
like,
write it, but
episodes,
then
all the
like
episodes made the list, so I'm pretty happy. So.
so Doug,
yeah.
Dream On or funeral?
Well, one was my pick, so I'm going Dream On.
yeah.
As I just leave the board up on my head.
Okay, now I write down the thing that I had written down.
Oh, so, yeah, we are so sure. Perfect.
But we all know Doug's got the same one written down. I've still got funeral. Christina.
Funeral.
Cameron.
Grilled cheeses.
Drew.
I'm gonna go with nationals on this one. Didn't love it as much as the semi-nationals or Journey to Nationals.
Funeral is going to be number 10.
Sorry, I'm just really confused right now.
What are you confused about?
Well, no, because like I don't understand why Drew is voting for a different thing every time. It's confusing.
Oh, and then maybe I'm confused about how we're supposed to be doing this. Are we supposed to be doing a consensus and not a?
Yeah. It's a
No,
consensus.
I think it's just because
Oh.
you're going like, oh, I think of the 12, this is 10, but in reality, you should just vote for whatever you think should be the lowest on the list. And I'm like,
Oh,
vote keeps changing. What's going on?
No, I mean,
aren't we
it's
going down? Wait, sorry, aren't we going down like the list? So I was doing my 12th pick, my 11th pick, and my 10th pick.
But it's
Yeah,
it's
but
the
what I'm saying is,
vote-
like, if your 12th pick isn't 12, then wouldn't you then try to get it to the next lowest spot?
yeah, because it's one of those ones. It's the consensus vote that gets on
But-
the.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm a little confused, and I
so
don't.
what happens? What happens is its majority vote gets picked for that pick,
Okay.
and then it just
Yeah.
Oh,
goes
right.
down the
so it
list.
should be-
Yeah.
You can
so it's
repeat
vote
votes as much as you want.
hence
Doug
board
and
hasn't
Malcolm know
changed.
the pain of having to repeat votes for an
Got
entire
it.
show.
Got it. Got it.
Hence the board not changing.
That's the part I was confused about. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
What we got for number 12? Let me just double check here. Sorry, I'm a little bit newbie to
And
this.
maybe the most infamous episode of Rankum, Doug and Malcolm are very familiar with having to hold the same votes for a whole show.
Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
Why did Leroy and Stitch get number 2?
Because
Wait,
it's a
what was
great
12
movie.
again? What was 12 again and 11? Just so I'm.
So the ones that are on the list at 12, we've got Britney. At 11, Dream On, and then 10 is we've got Funeral.
Okay, got it. I now know how this game is played.
Yeah.
Got
It's a
it.
game.
I was like, I'm just gonna make sure that like you
I just thought
understand.
we were-
I'm like,
Yeah.
Did not know
Yeah,
that.
that's all good. I realised when I explained this to people, I really butchered my explanation sometimes. But as much as I do like this, I've got Rocky Horror Glee Show for 9. Christina,
I have Rocky Horror.
Cameron,
grilled cheeses.
Yeah.
and Drew's
And
got
Doug has
Cheeseman.
Rocky Horror. So
Guess what? I get to change my board finally.
we're not gonna pull a Leroy and Stitch on you this time, Doug. 'Cause-
He says now.
Right?
Hey,
We already know what you want
I was
to
the
do.
turncoat in
By
that
the way,
situation.
You guys have also made very good arguments, like after the picks that I made that of stuff that should go on. So, like the fact that my vote keeps changing is actually indicative of the fact that you guys have made some pretty stellar arguments. Like, yeah, Britney, in retrospect, probably shouldn't have gotten on the list, but here we are. Here we are.
But yeah, I mean, it reminds me of an episode back in the day in which I had a rule in place which I decided really didn't work in alongside we someone could save something if it didn't get voted on, and Daredevil was saved, and then everyone forgot that Daredevil was there, and it ended up getting to number 3.
Okay.
But Christina, what do you have for 8?
Grilled cheeses.
Cameron,
Grilled Jesus.
Drew,
Now I know what I'm doing here. Grilled cheeses.
Doug.
Grilled cheeses.
I'm different. I'm not going to reveal what I've got because it's not going to really matter.
Cheetah.
Man, it hurts that I'm putting this on the board. But I like every episode that's still on this list.
The fact that I personally don't have Rocky Horror on the board yet that has no relation. Rocky Horror is now off the board in terms of picks, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rocky Horror is out. So
Perfect.
it's
I got
locked at 9. This is locked at 8. Nothing can be done.
Okay, got it. Let's see what else we got here.
But Cameron, what's your 7?
Journey to regionals.
Drew, what do you have for 7?
Ooh, props.
Doug,
I went with props.
Disrespectful.
I went for the breakup. Christina,
Props.
Disrespect.
Solid middle choice. That's the thing about props. I think looking down this list, we're like, okay, well, that's a solid middle place.
yeah, and I mean,
12 episodes of 120 episodes of television.
yeah, and I mean, I think it's one of those ones like props is a good episode. But I think whenever anyone talks about, a lot of times people just go, "Oh yeah, that's the body shopping one." That's kind of what all they take from it.
I literally didn't mention it when I referenced it.
Well, no, I
forgot
know.
to mention that part.
Well, I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just saying a lot of times when people talk about Glee, like, oh yeah, they did an episode where they swapped bodies. Is one of the first ones
Also,
people
not the
mentioned to
only
me.
episode where Tina has a random dream sequence.
Yeah, apparently people hallucinate all the time in this show. It's weird.
They abuse Tina a lot in that show.
Considering how there was one episode just around teen drinking, and they're all usually like sober kids. These kids get high on a bunch of shit. It turns out over the course of the series, they have hallucinations, head injuries.
You could not make this show today.
Well, you could.
Artie is a rolling STD.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones where it's still made today. I mean, chances are they'll find a way to do a COVID-19 storyline.
Nothing yet.
Yikes.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend probably.
I mean, it's jokes that will be. It wouldn't surprise me if they would have done that. But Drew, what do you have for 6?
I'm going with Nationals again.
Doug, what do you have for 6?
Journey to Regionals.
I've got the Breakup. Christina.
8.5.
Journey to Regionals. That puts it at 6. Yes. Vindication, revenge, whatever you want to call it.
Is this what democracy looks like?
Kind of.
This is how democracy dies. With
I'm telling you, I would
applause.
swap out Britney for what do you want? Okay, let's go.
I mean, I'd do it too, but apparently that's not how the show works.
It
Why
was
do you
literally.
want to do Britney?
But yeah. Doug, what do you have for 5?
Asian F.
I've still got the Breakup. Christina.
8.5.
Cameron.
Theatricality.
You shut your mouth.
So Drew, what do you have for 5?
People are gonna hate this. I have theatricality as well, even though it's one of my picks.
So,
Sorry. It's great. It's just the other contenders are so strong.
literally all 5 of the ones that are left are in my top 10. Like, this is.
All right, Asian F for theatricality.
I'm going to not say anything and just do this.
Boo. Now I have to write it back down on my board.
What's that?
Cameron was just so sure I was going to go back.
I always forget that, like, I shouldn't erase my board until the thing is confirmed to be in the spot. You think after being one of the people who intentionally ruined this show one time, I know how to do it correctly.
One time.
Just to recap what we've got left, we've got the quarterback, Nationals, the Breakup, and theatricality. So I'm going for Breakup for 4. Christina.
The Breakup.
Cameron.
Theatricality.
Drew.
I'm changing my answer. It was gonna be theatricality, but reading the last 3 off, none of those 3 are in my top 3. So I'm gonna have to go with the quarterback.
Doug.
The Breakup.
Yeah, this is what do they call it? This is like a proxy vote. It doesn't mean anything, but
We are the Electoral College. I think. I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
Again, I'm
neither
not
do
from
we.
your country.
that
I'm
we
not
have to-
American. I don't know how it works.
Sometimes I do know how, if America know how, always know how voting works.
It's kind of like this, except we don't have to stand in line to vote.
We can do it over the internet, guys.
Okay, so we got
Right.
left.
We've got the quarterback, Nationals, and
Theatricality.
Oh, okay, I see. I'm still learning.
I hate doing this one at this, but I like the other 2 more. Cameron.
So I know what Malcolm wrote down. Theatricality.
Drew, what do you have for 3?
Still going with the quarterback here.
Doug.
Nationals.
I've got Nationals.
Okay.
That's theatricality.
Ooh.
Oh
Does that
no!
mean I get to split the
Drew
vote?
breaks the tie.
You break the tie.
Okay, well, one of these is the one that I picked, and one of them is one that I feel like was done better in the journey. So let's go with, number 3 is going to be Nationals.
Yeah. I love how I'm like sad about it being number 3 when it's my number 5 all time. Like,
So we're down to the quarterback versus theatricality, and so instead of putting down your number 2, we're just going straight to number 1 because the other one's going to come 2 by proxy anyway. So
I think everyone knows which one that I'm voting for.
I think I know exactly how this vote plays out.
Are you?
No, I'm not voting for, rather.
We're putting our number 1, right?
Putting number 1.
Okay.
Doug, we talked about this before the show. If you turn coat on me, if you Leroy and Stitch me,
You should go to me last.
You guys really vote for the happiest, best episode of Glee being this episode? Think about it.
I mean, happiest and best are 2 different things.
Is this the best this show could have been? What is the encompassing vision of this show?
This was an episode, unfortunately, they had to do, and they did it well.
They did it well, but they had to do it. It wasn't the thesis.
It was not.
But Drew,
It was not.
Number 1 with a bullet, theatricality.
Cameron,
The quarterback.
Christina,
Quarterback.
the quarterback, Doug.
The quarterback.
Wow, everyone's so happy about that episode of television where someone died. IRL.
IRL.
We're not happy. It's just,
Hey, everyone's like,
good episode.
best episode of Glee ever. Like, oof. I understand the argument here, and they did tackle a very hard real life topic very difficultly. But like, I will not want to remember Glee as the show that handled Corey Monteith's death well. I'd rather remember it as the Little Monsters sing along.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, I get that. It's when you got a panel and all that. It's always interesting to see what happens. There's done a few shows. I've done a few shows of these, of which one that you would expect to make the list completely misses out just because. So I'm pretty sure it was. It was the Billy Joel playlist that Brooklyn did on Jukebox Trivia, in which Piano Man did not make the list.
Piano Man's weird.
And whoever was running the stream at the time, we told the episode to top 10 Billy Joel songs, except Piano Man.
Oh wow! 10 and Piano Man not making out is difficult.
Speaking of Billy Joel, I really did like the Billy Joel episode of Glee.
About that,
but
did you Piano Man?
Yeah, but
They did not do Piano Man. I don't believe.
No, I think they did because I think
On that episode, or was it on a different episode they did it?
Yeah, it was on a different episode that they did it. But this one on the Billy Joel one, they did "You May Be Right," which led to the corniest opening to a song ever. With "We'll Go to Sue's" like, "You may be right, but we may be crazy." But to recap the top 12 Glee episodes we've got, at number 12 we've got Britney. At 11 we've got Dream On. At 10 we got Funeral. At 9 we got Rocky Horror Glee Show. At 8 we got Grilled Cheeses. At 7 we've got Props. At 6 we got Journey to Regionals. At 5 we've got Asian F. At 4 we've got The Breakup. At 3 we've got Nationals. At 2 we've got Theatricality. And our number 1 episode is The Quarterback.
I keep thinking theatricality was my vote. You're right, Doug. I keep thinking I voted for. I put theatricality on the list. No, you got there. But I'm glad that it's number. I'm glad it was so high up there. It was such the best episode.
But this brings us to the end of another episode. Shortly after this, I will put a poll in the Take 3 Productions Facebook page with the topics for next week. Which may or may not, I may not or may not have planned to put one that was already mentioned in the show on that poll. But yeah.
Okay, guys, yeah, that's actually a good point because I actually have to go get some food that was left outside for me. So I need to leave. Thank you.
Before you leave, where can people find you online?
Oh, yeah, duh. Well, Videodrew it like everything. So just, you know, like you go to your Twitter, you go to your Instagram, you just type in /Videodrew, you get me. You can also go to my Patreon. It's /Videodrew. I'm saying backslash, but just, you know, put the backslash mark. It's just Videodrew. I also do, I have my own YouTube channel, which is, again, Videodrew. We do Video Chronic quizzes, which is me and Nerd Chronic do 20 questions on one movie. Deep delves. We do that Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays. It doesn't actually have to be a movie. This is what the Video Chronic Pop Culture Quiz is about. We do TV shows. We have a big Office one that Malcolm is helping out on. We have franchises of movies. So, yeah, I think this next week we're doing the next 2 Matrix movies, and Roca wants in, like, to tap in super badly because he watched the Vinny and Ace Cabrera one. Also, I have Cinema Bias on Tuesday nights with Alex Mack. That's also on my YouTube channel, where we pick one movie and force the other person to watch it, ostensibly, and try to uncover like our, you know, predisposed disbeliefs to like and not like certain films and see if we can change each other's mind. I also have on my Patreon a new series. It's I'm going to be releasing soon to the public, which is Videodrew Reviews, which is a scripted series. It's alternate reality gaming sort of scripted thing. It's weird. It's gonna happen, and that's it for me, I think.
It's all good. Cameron, we can find you online.
Yeah, you can find me doing shows here. You can find me competing over in Multiplex as one half of the team, the Clash of Demon Head in Warzone, or as one half of the team Ascendant in Fandom. It's the same 2 people, but we picked different names because we felt like it. You can find me as a member of the Kingsman faction alongside Mr. Doug Castle, who is pointing at the shirt with all of our nicknames on it. You can find me competing in Full Metal with my team partner Jake Marangoni. I don't know when we're going to be playing because we aren't in the first round of the tournament because we're apparently that good. So yeah, go over to Multiplex podcast feed, check out my episode of Jukebox Jam Session where I stated that the season 3 complete collection of Glee is the greatest soundtrack of all time.
Wow.
Because that was a choice I made. Yeah, that's about it. I don't have Twitter.
Christina, where can people find you online?
I don't really do much online in the real world. I just go to work and go to the gym and go to bed. But now that I'm here in quarantine, I do a couple things on feature presentations. I've competed once and did iconic movie songs once. And anytime my husband's on, I crash his shows. Other than that, you know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You can be my friend in real life. But yeah, other than that, I don't do much on here.
What's your Twitter and Facebook and Instagram handle?
My Facebook is just my name, Christina Visallo, and my Instagram is Christina_V with 3 E's. I'm private on everything, but you know.
Okay. You're saying you
yeah. I don't do anything. Yeah, I teach math, and then like I go to the gym, and then I come home and go to bed normally. So you know, that's my exciting life. So now in quarantine, I can finally have time to branch out and do some fun things.
Doug, where can people find you online?
Trying not to die. That's the first thing. Second thing, you find me over Multiplex Completing in Fan Leagues. I am a part of the Kingsmen. I've got a match coming out. Check it out. It was fun. Yeah, I do a show on here, hopefully getting back to it, called The Manor. It's where we sit down and I have people from, hopefully, I can reach out to more people. And they give me 5 movies that best represent them as a person. And we talk about it.
I like that. That's a great concept.
Definitely check out the first 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes had Rachel Silvestrini and had Andrew DeMolanto on them. It was a great. Both of them were great episodes. Malcolm is occasionally on the show with me, co-hosting. Yeah, I love fun guys tonight, and yeah.
And you can find me on Take 3 Productions hosting Late Night Take 3. Next week it's going to be action movies. And then you can also find me in Rankham on Saturday nights, in which the topic will be whatever you decide on the poll, which I'll put up in a minute. You can also find me over in Full Metal Trivia hosting Full Metal Random, in which the leader of the Kingsmen is going to go up against Jim Green and Michael Wood in a Doctor Who's, in brackets, New Who trivia match, in which they see who knows the most about about the new series of Doctor Who. And that person, I realised, didn't actually name Caleb Coho, is at the leader of the Kingsman, but yeah. You can also find me all over the place. I pop up all over things. And until next week, did you...
Oh, sorry.